All right, so look, if you guys don't know by now, I love the fall. Fall weather, fall foliage, fall food. I love all the fall events like apple picking and pumpkin picking and trick-or-treating. I don't know who likes them more, me and my kid. But the reality is I love fall. And I especially love fall flavors like pumpkin and apple and cinnamon and cardamom and allspice. Oh, forget about it, you name it. And I really love those flavors in my cocktails. Now, there's many ways you can add these flavors to your cocktails. You could do stuff like making a cinnamon syrup, or you can use an allspice dram. But one thing I love to do is to make a fall tincture. Now, a tincture is really basically an infusion. And what you do though, instead of using it as a base spirit, use it more kind of like a seasoning. Think of it like the salt and pepper, kind of like a bitters. And so what I'm gonna do today is I'm gonna show you guys how to make two of my favorite fall themed tinctures, pumpkin spice and apple pie. But before I do that, I'm gonna need you guys to hit that thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, and that notification bell so you can help Vino feed the hungry algorithm. And make sure you stick around because we're gonna boogie down. All right, so before we look at what's in the sauce, let us look at what equipment we're gonna need, okay? You're gonna want two 4-ounce dropper bottles, and this is gonna be to store our tincture in. Ideally, you're gonna get something that's tinted because this will block out light. Light can degrade the ingredients. All right, you're also gonna want at least 2 mason jars with covers on them, and that's gonna be to infuse your tinctures. I like to have a 3rd mason jar available so that I can strain the tinctures into that before transferring them into the dropper bottles. Now you're also gonna want a mortar and pestle. I'm gonna be using whole spices in my recipe, so this is gonna help us crush them and use them in our infusion. You're also going to need yourself a funnel, and along with that, something to strain with. I'm going to be using a nut milk bag, but you can use a cheesecloth or a fine mesh strainer if that's what you've got available. Now, last but not least, our neutral spirit. Now, I'm going to be using an Everclear-like alcohol, which is 190 proof, but you can use vodka if that's all you have, but the higher the proof, the faster the infusion is going to go. That's really up to you and what you can get access to. All right, now let us look at what is in the sauce. Now I'm going to start things off with my pumpkin spice tincture. You're going to want 1 teaspoon of dried ginger, a half a teaspoon of fresh nutmeg powder, 4 cloves, 4 allspice berries, and 1 cinnamon stick. All right, so the first thing I'm adding to my mason jar is my cinnamon stick. Now I'm going to be using Ceylon cinnamon, which is a very soft cinnamon stick, so I can just crush this by hand, but you can feel free to use whatever cinnamon you have available to you. And then I'm going to add my allspice berries. These I will be crushing to help expose some of them oils and aromatics. And then I'm going to add my cloves, and I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to crush them to expose those aromatics and oils inside the spice. Next, I'm going to use my fresh nutmeg powder, but you should definitely feel free to use the stuff that's in a bottle. And then my dried ginger. Finally, you're going to want to add your neutral grain spirit. Again, I'm using something along the lines of Everclear, but if all you've got is vodka, you should definitely feel free to use that as well. Now you want to seal it, stir it, and let the infusion process begin. All right, now let us look at what is in the sauce for my apple pie tincture. You're going to need 1 teaspoon of dried ginger, 2 cloves, 3 allspice berries, 1 cinnamon stick, a half a teaspoon of nutmeg, 1 cardamom pod, and 1 tablespoon of dehydrated apple. All right, so the first thing I'm going to add to my mason jar is my cinnamon stick. Again, I'm using Ceylon cinnamon, which is a very soft cinnamon, so I'll be crushing that by hand. And then I'm going to add my allspice berries, which I will be crushing with my pestle and mortar. And then I'm going to add my cloves as well. Once again, crushing those in a pestle and mortar to expose those oils and aromatics. And now my cardamom pod. You definitely want to crush this in your pestle and mortar because it does have a hard shell on the outside. Next, I'm going to add my fresh nutmeg powder, and then I'm going to add my dried ginger, and I'm going to add my dehydrated apples. Last but not least, I'm going to add my neutral spirit. Again, I'm going to be using something like Everclear, but if all you've got access to is vodka, you could use that as well. Now you're going to want to seal it, stir it, and store it away. For something like Everclear, a minimum of 1 week. For vodka, a minimum of 2 weeks. Either way, make sure you give it a daily stir. All right, folks, there you have it. Our pumpkin spice tincture is fully infused, And now I'm going to go ahead and fine strain that into our second mason jar. Now I'm going to be using a nut milk bag for this, but you can use a cheesecloth or whatever strainer you have. And then I'm going to do one final strain, and this time right into our dropper bottle. And then we're going to seal that up with our dropper, and there you have it, folks, our pumpkin spice tincture. But we are not done. It's time for our apple pie tincture. We're going to follow the same process. We're going to strain it, add it to our dropper bottle, seal it up with our dropper. And there you have it, folks, our apple pie tincture.
Now you might be thinking to yourself, hey Vino, how exactly do I use these tinctures? Well, a great place to start is in an old fashioned. Make yourself an old fashioned. You add 3 to 5 drops of the tincture, just to start, because you want to see what your preferences are. And after you taste it, you see if you want to add more, if you want to add less. It's really up to you, but just make sure you get it to a place where those fall flavors are shining through and you feel really good about it, right folks? Now, let me know in the comment section if you make these tinctures and what you use it in. I would love to hear from you guys, all right? If you like this video, please press like, please subscribe, and please share with your family and friends. Remember, sharing is caring, and when life gives you lemons, make yourself a cocktail. Cheers.